Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Hello everyone, good evening once again. It's the Ancient One here, the Bachelor Supreme, the master of the deceptive arts, he who remains, and the Phantom Menace. I'm here with another video. And today's video is going to be canceling Coochie, more specifically to create a cancel Coochie culture, right? This is a popular phrase, Coochie, for the female's reproductive organs. It's just the title of the video, and I don't see myself using that word on a regular basis in my everyday life. Absolutely not, but it will be entitled at the top of the video to, clickbait and whatnot to attract viewers. But let's talk about it, right? Before we start, I'd like to make a disclaimer and say that I know you're not going to cancel Coochie. Right? No one is going to cancel Coochie. It is the thing, as the prognosticator puts it, that will sell even when bottles of water does not sell, right? Or bottles of water do not sell. So I'm aware of that. What I'm putting forward is a hypothesis based on a very particular philosophy, my philosophy, which is the bachelor life. As a lifelong bachelor, I will tell you that you can be guaranteed of many, many nights without intimacy and without a partner. Hopefully, it's years and years at a time. But eventually, because of your biological imperative, because of your DNA, your need as a man, you're going to do it. You're right. You're going to engage in intimacy. So I know you're not going to cancel it, right? But if you are going to engage in intimacy, brother, you need to get a vasectomy. You need to get a vasectomy. This is the standard that I'm setting as the standard for the bachelor life. You cannot be going out there with a fully loaded weapon, firing live rounds that are going to destroy your life and have collateral damage, right? So you need to go ahead, get that vasectomy, protect yourself, protect your future. And if you're going to play the game of intimacy, if you're going to engage in what I call the romance wars, or what you might call dating and relationships, even marriage, right? You need to guarantee yourself safety before you even go out there, right? An Asian philosopher once said, you can only be certain of safe travel if you go to places where you have no enemies. You can only be sure of safe travel if you go to places where your enemy cannot attack you, right? You can only be guaranteed of your safety if you hold positions that the enemy cannot attack. And you can only be guaranteed of your attacks if you attack places that the enemy cannot defend, right? So you need to go out there and you need to get your vasectomy and protect yourself. No one can attack a vasectomy, and no one can defend against it. It is the ultimate bachelor move. It is what you need to secure success. I don't care how charming you are or how rich you are. You get a woman pregnant, all that charm is gone. That shine will be muddied down, your glow will be dimmed, right? It will finish you. You get a woman pregnant, you're finished, right? But let's assume that you don't, right? Let's talk about, coochie culture. Let's say you don't participate in the game, right? And rather not coochie culture, cancel coochie culture. But let's say you don't participate in the game, and you want to be involved in cancel culture. Well, looking at the history of cancel culture, the very recent modern history of cancel culture, we know that it stemmed from the very serious and to some extent legitimized Me Too movement, where powerful men who had abused their power to solicit intimate relations with people, particularly young women who were not of age, for these intimate relations, in exchange for positions in media organizations, acting, music, and so forth, right? These women then came forward and made legal assertions, which was well within their rights to do. Some were right, some were suspect. I'm not a legal professional. I cannot say for certain who was right and who was wrong. But what happened then is that socially, right, the movement began to pick up steam, as they say, and online cancel culture became a way for society or people in general, the larger majority, to have their impact in what they felt was a justified way by having these people canceled. They were canceled from their jobs, they were canceled from fame, they were canceled from their social media presence, and ultimately were worn down economically, right? And were not able to function economically. So cancel culture is still quite a big phenomenon. It's not happening with the same vigor and enthusiasm, but to be chastised online for private behaviors or even perceived bad behaviors is a very popular thing now, right? Even though even though it might not be called cancel culture, still the patterns and the effects are exactly the same, right? So according to those lines, right? Now you're taking something that is inherently bad, exposing it, and then inducing a social movement, right? A cultural movement to change that behavior, right? So if you can't change the laws, you got to change the culture, which is what we're doing here. So let's talk about it. Canceling coochie. Why? Why? I would assert that intimacy, intimacy is the cause of many and all of your problems, starting with trying to get it, right? Trying to get into intimacy from a counterpart can become an obsession for some men. It can become dangerous and distracting and, of course, time consuming and expensive, right? I mean, just the high cost of getting into a relationship, right, is not just economic, right? The the approach or the game, you need to acquire skills, communication skills, to be able to hold conversations and understand dialogue and the unreliable body language, which I'm going to tell you is not a thing. Body language is not a thing. Somebody can smile in your face and still tell you no. You can't rely on body language, right? But you need to develop these skills. So you're spending time and effort and resources and knowledge and wisdom trying to improve communication skills in order just to get an opportunity to date, right? And then you start dating. You gotta be well dressed, well presented, which costs money, right? To look good. It costs money to look good. It costs money to smell good. It costs money to be clean, right? It costs money to go pick her up or to meet her. It costs money. The date itself is going to be tremendously expensive. The activity is there, right? So already you are at a financial disadvantage and you haven't even got any, right? We haven't even got to the intimacy yet. We are still working up to you getting it, right? And if you do get it once off and it doesn't work out, that's one thing by itself. But let's say that you do progress, right? Let's say that this mating ritual plays itself out to what is the perceived natural conclusion. You go from dating to starting a relationship, which may or may not end up with you two moving together, and you, the bachelor, the man, are going to incur the bulk of those costs and those living expenses. You are now working for the counterpart. You are working to sustain and maintain and keep the attention of a very fickle and whimsical counterpart. But let's say the relationship then continues, right? So now you're actually getting some intimacy, right? And you're getting it on a regular basis, which means 6 to 8 sessions a month compared to your 21 sessions of need. Let's say 21 to 27. I'll say 27. I think you need it every day almost as a man, but this is my opinion, not based on any medical research, right? The medical research says 21 to 27. I'm the one that's raising it all the way up. But let's say you are intimate now, right? What comes from intimacy? Every single time, without fail, guaranteed insemination. Insemination means pregnancy. Pregnancy means babies, right? So, whether you proceed to getting married or not, or you are just in a relationship, right, having progressed from dating and you're intimate with this person, you can be sure that if you keep going and you don't stop, eventually she's going to get pregnant, right? So now you got kids and a baby mama and all those problems that come with that. An excellent reason why you should cancel intimacy, right? Then, of course, there is the dark dimension of marriage, right? Worst case scenario. Worst case scenario. Now you're in it, but you're not getting any, right? And don't let the kids come in because that's the death knell, right? It is known to be the death knell. You're married to someone, 1 year, 2 years, you have kids, it's over. Intimacy out the window. Second kid, forget about it. Forget about it, right? I'm not even going to go to the third kid because now you are just living in abject poverty. And there will be no joy or intimacy of any kind. 3 kids means poverty, right? So the cost of these relationships, right, is just so tremendous and so high compared to the cost of sustaining yourself as a bachelor. The game, right? Part of this game thing is that you have to be funny, right? You have to tell jokes. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is trying to understand the sense of humor of somebody else when you barely understand your own sense of humor. You're not a comedian, brother. You're not a comedian. The people at your job, people at your school, your family, your friends, They like you, right, for who you really are. But they don't think you're funny, man. They don't think you're funny. If you were funny, you would have a YouTube channel with 100,000 subscribers, 100 million subscribers. You'd have a Netflix special. You'd be in Hollywood blockbusters. We would know you're funny. But now here you are with a counterpart, trying to be funny and failing at it, right? Trying to use jokes and humor to get an emotional connection, right? And I mean, this can go on and on. Months, the weeks, the days, the hours of just you trying to maintain the attention and keep the attention of the counterpart. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how frustrating that is, right? And just knowing that if you stop, there's always that competition anxiety that men have. They say that women have competition anxiety. This is a phrase from the prognosticator. Guys, watch the prognosticator. Find him. Find him. He's a wise, powerful practitioner. But this competition anxiety in men plays out as paranoia, right? So you know that she wants the attention of other men, right? Just as you want the attention of other women. So it's not just the other men wanting to give her attention, she wants that attention too. And you're now competing with the attention of really professionals, right? You're competing for the attention of the counterpart against professionals, right? Disney, I don't know, Marvel, you name them, right? The Universal, YouTube, these Instagram, these are all companies that are focused their energy and resources and billions of dollars into getting and keeping the attention of men and women. And this is who you're competing against. And the standards that they set, I mean, those fairy tales are all the way up there, right? And this is what you're trying to live up to. And how are you trying to accomplish this? You're trying to compete with with using FaceTime, using text messages, using calls, using emails, using dates, and you're losing. And you're losing. And the men that are attacking, the men that are giving her attention, these are not just, we're not just, don't worry about the wealthy men. I mean, those men, they'll just blow you out of the water. But think about all the talented guys, the guys that can sing, that can dance, that are great orators, that have, great words and vocabulary that can capture her imagination in ways that you can't. So you're spending all this time to get this thing, and ultimately you're just failing on volume alone, right? I mean, just the number of calls and DMs and likes and shares that a counterpart can get, just the volume compared to what you're able to produce, I mean, you're blown out of the water, right? You're blown out of the water. But let's say you overcome all of these things and eventually you do get yourself some intimacy. How much of it do you get? Right? We've already established you need 27 a month, right? And the most loving couple, the most lustful, tristful couple is only getting it a maximum of 8 times a month. Now, I'm going to demonstrate to you how this is not worth it, right? So the average session lasts 5 to 15 minutes, right, of push and pull, right? So let's say you do 15 minutes 8 times a month, right? That brings you to 120 minutes, 2 months of actual intimacy a month, right? I beg your pardon. 120 minutes is 2 hours of sexual intimacy a month. Just 2 hours. Just 2 hours a month. There are 24 hours in a day. In a month, let's say the month 30, 31 days, that's roughly 730 hours. You are getting 2 hours of intimacy for every 730 hours. 2 hours of intimacy for 730 hours. 730 hours of what? Well, let's say 728 hours, right? Minus the 2 hours. 728 hours of doing what? Of paying. You are paying, right? Every minute after that you are not receiving what you are wanting, you are paying the counterpart, right? You are paying time. You are spending time. Spend time with me, right? You spend your life. You spend your life with someone, right? You are paying with your life, right? 728 hours of life paid to the counterpart, right? Spending money, obviously, if they are eating, drinking, using the internet, smoking, right? Whatever they're smoking, furniture that they need to sit on, right? You got a pool for them to entertain themselves with. You got to pay for that. These are all resources, right? These are all resources. The word resource is defined as the things that you need in order for a person to function effectively, right? So, money, food, clothes, right? All these things that you need in order for you to be able to function effectively, you are now spending those things on the counterpart. And for what? For 2 hours of intimacy. Those numbers do not bear out, right? You are losing tremendously in terms of time spent and what you're getting in return, right? So let's talk now about your biological imperative, which is the reason why I know that you are not going to give up intimacy, right? You are not going to cancel the Coochie, as the video will be titled. You know, the biological imperative is what I call God's plan for humanity, right? I once made the assertion that if I was God, I would be showing and demonstrating my power in every possible way, right? I would be doing as I please, and I would come down to earth ever so often to not only prove my existence once and for all, but to show the extent of my power. And then upon pondering this hypothesis, it occurred to me that in truth, God would just make you do what he wanted to do anyway. You'd just be doing it and not even know you're doing it. And this is your biological imperative, right? God's plan is not your plan. It is not part of the Bachelor Grand Plan. The Bachelor Grand Plan is simple. Step 1, freeze your sperm. 2, get a vasectomy. Get a vasectomy. Get a vasectomy. And number 3, make yourself successful. Be the success that you see in yourself. Go kill it in the gym. Go make that money. Go acquire your fame and status, right? Success is an ambiguous word. Ambiguous means it has 2 or more meanings or no easy or not easily understood, right? No easy way of understanding, right? It's ambiguous. Success means, 1, to achieve a goal that you have set out. So if your goal is to get educated or to start a YouTube channel to reach, 10,000 subscribers, when you do that, you are then successful. So you set a goal for yourself and you go out and you achieve that goal, right? Success. Success, in the other word, in the social context, means to achieve wealth and status in society, right? So if you want to be known, you want to be famous, you want to be rich, these are all good. These are all right. You can go and achieve those things, but you need to protect yourself once you have achieved them. And one way that you're going to lose those things is through intimacy, right? You'll get sued for harassment, right? You'll get someone pregnant or two people pregnant, and they'll put you on child support. You'll be induced to get married, or they'll tell you that age old lie. Or how can you be successful if you're not married? People don't do business with unmarried men. Nonsense. Nonsense. Rich people do business with people who they will want to do business, right? Money doesn't choose if you're married or not, right? Money is money, right? Marriage is not money, right? Money is money. So, you know, God's plan is not the bachelor's plan, right? God has created it such that you cannot overcome your biological imperative other than through this surgery, the vasectomy. A surgery created and invented by men to prevent you from having babies. That's all it prevents. And the tremendous consequences of not having the vasectomy are just staggering, right? You're going to destroy your life. You have one kid, you're going to destroy your life. Cannot be a bachelor and have kids. The bachelor grand plan: freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, achieve success, right? Is not just there as a standard, but it is there as a purpose, right? It is easy to learn. It takes a moment to understand, but you will need a lifetime to master this practice, right? And if you don't get your vasectomy, I'm telling you, your body will betray you. Your body will betray you at a time that you need it the most. It will demonstrate to you its lack of discipline. You will do things, right? And you've heard men say this all the time: I lost control. I didn't know what I was doing. Oh, it's not up to you. God took over and completed his plan of for humanity, which is for humanity to keep growing, right? To keep thriving, to multiply, as it says. And humanity as a species only grows when it only thrives. It's only successful when it grows. As a species, as an entity, right? Your body will let you down, right? The need for intimacy is automatic, right? It happens every time that a man and a woman are together. That instinct is triggered immediately. You can't turn this off, right? You can't pause it. You can't delay it, right? You can only respond to it. This is why I know that you will not be able to cancel Coochie. You will not be able to do it because I have not been able to do it. And I am a true believer. I am in all the way. I made sure to get my vasectomy before I had kids. And I would happily stop being intimate with somebody until I got that vasectomy. And I did. And I stopped, right? I was only intimate after I got the vasectomy, right? And even then, I thought I was wasting my goddamn time, right? Because eventually, you know, people build emotions. They build a connection, which I know that, after the vasectomy, it became very clear to me that, one, I'm not the type of person that should be in a relationship, as you can tell for yourself, right? And I say, know thyself, know thyself, Don't get yourself into a situation where you're going to be arguing with somebody because they're breathing too loud. If you're not the kind of person that should be in a relationship, stay away, man. Don't go ruin somebody's life just because you know your moods are not compatible with theirs, right? But back to your biological imperative. Because you cannot turn this off, right? Pregnancy, children, insemination, and ultimately your destruction is inevitable, especially if you are a knee bender without a vasectomy. If you are looking to be the head of the household to provide and protect, you are merely creating the path to your destruction. And in the end, you'll be standing there saying, why didn't anybody tell you? And I'm going to say I did, right? I'm going to say I did. But aside from your body betraying you and you following God's plan instinctively and automatically, right? Let's talk about the counterpart themselves. The counterpart has mismanaged the coochie. And many men are trying to find a way to describe this mismanagement, right? In truth, you can't trust a counterpart to be responsible with anything. They are irresponsible with money. They are irresponsible with their education. They are irresponsible with their families, with their cars. They burn their own houses down. I mean, the list of ridiculous things that counterparts do are just mounting daily. We are all shocked that at the things that these people can do and the destruction that they can achieve, claiming to be the weaker gender physically. I mean, how much what difference does your strength make if you are holding a tank of gasoline and a box of matches? What difference is strength in that moment, right? These people are utterly destructive. As you can tell, I have no approval for a counterpart whatsoever. So how can you then expect that a person who has been irresponsible with themselves would then be responsible with their intimate parts? Completely mismanaged. From day one, they've just mismanaged it, right? And this is why, to me, body count absolutely doesn't matter, right? I just assume at every turn that you have mismanaged that coochie, right? I assume that you are not going to cash it in for the high value that you demand, right? And for that reason, body count doesn't matter, because she'll use it to reward a poor man for his jokes. She'll use it to reward a rich man for his money. She'll use it to cure sadness. She'll use it to as a tool for revenge. I mean, talk about a one-trick pony. Now, I know that's a little bit hypocritical because I'm a one-trick pony. I'm about to make an entire channel talking about one topic: get a vasectomy, get a vasectomy, get that vasectomy. That being said, right, how then can I have one trick for all situations and they don't have that one trick for all situations? It is a little bit hypocritical, right? But for this reason, I will say that body count doesn't matter, right? As a man with a vasectomy, somebody had to ask me my body count. I'm not telling you that. I'm not telling you that, right? And as a manager of intimate parts, she has no incentive of telling you what her body count is, and she never will, right? It is for this reason I say that unless the number is 0, it is inconsequential, right? If the number is not 0, it doesn't really matter what the number is, right? Now, If the number is zero, this poses a completely different set of problems that you don't want, because zero indicates child, right? So it's a troubling situation when grown men are demanding innocence, right, and virtuosity from their counterpart, but what it indicates is youthfulness and inexperience. You're talking about children. You are talking about children, right? And that's illegal. And I say to bachelors all the time, 21 and over. 21 and over. Anywhere you go in the world, 21 will be fine. That's part one. Part two of this 21 and over theory is that they all turn 21. Unless she's dead, in which case, well, what can you do about that? You know what I mean? You can't revive the deceased. But unless she's deceased and passed away, right, which means she passed on young, 21 is a gateway that everyone goes through. Every human is gonna go through, right? You are fully in the adult realm now, right? So stay there. Stay there. There's nothing for you down here. All you are doing is risking your life for somebody who, in a few months' time, is going to be of legal and consenting age. Consenting age. For me, I put that at 21. Legal age is something else, and you could miss it by a state, you could miss it by a kilometer, you could miss it by a month, right? And just to discover that, while they are legal, they may not be considered capable of consenting, and they'll find a way to remove consent. So 21 of legal and consenting age, protect yourself, right? There's no benefit in engaging in illegal activities or even risking illegal activities. So this is the issue with body count, right? When you describe a certain type of person, just know that that comes with a particular age bracket, right? So if you're saying that zero is your number, then you are looking for trouble, right? This issue of body count, right? And, again, we're talking about canceling coochie culture, right? Let's do it. Let's cancel it. And we'll talk about what that actually looks like in a moment. But think about a packet of chips, right? You like a packet of Lay's or Simba or Pringles or whatever it is, right? Once you open that packet, right, it's only going to be open wider, right? It's lost that airness, that airtight vacuum, and all that air that's in there comes all the way out, right? You can't seal that again. And even if you do seal it, you're not gonna seal it as it was in its original form. Once it's open, right? There's also no way of really knowing who opened it, right? And if you're gonna put your hands in that packet of chips and eat some of those, right? You don't know how many people have had those chips before you or will have them after you. All you know is that you are being offered some now, and it's up to you to decide whether you're gonna go in there and have a crisp or two, right? So it's up to you, right? You can eat them or not, right? But ultimately, it's open. It's open, right? And the chips are being offered. And I would say get a vasectomy before you eat some of those chips, right? But since we're on a legal path, talking as again, I'm not a legal expert. I am only surmising legality from a bachelor's point of view, again, making deductions from observation rather than experience, right? But let's talk about what rights do you have as a bachelor, as a husband, as a boyfriend, as a knee bender, as a vasectomite, to the coochie, to the intimate parts? And the simple answer is you have zero rights to the coochie and the intimate parts. You have no legal rights to this apparatus, right? Not at all. You were not born with it, right? Not only do you have no rights, you have no shares, you have no parts, you have no say, right? The intimate parts, the coochie itself, is a sole proprietor, right? It is a business that is run, owned, and managed by one individual. However, it has the capacity to be utilized by many. The services can be utilized by many. But you are merely the customer in this situation, right? You've merely been given access to the services, but you have no rights to these services. You cannot say when the services are provided, when the shop is open, what time it closes, and what the quality of service that you will receive on a day-to-day basis will be. You have no rights in this endeavor, right? You own nothing here, right? You are merely permitted, right? You are merely being given the access to this thing. It's not yours. It's not yours. If it was yours, you'd have it with you right now, right? And as a bachelor, a man, I have never had one. I have never owned one, and I am certain that I never will. And this is something that you need to come to accept, right? This is a point here where you need to let go of it, right? You need to let go. You need to cancel it. Right here, it's not yours, right? And a lot of men struggle with this. And the reason you struggle with it is that even if you're married, right? Even if you're married, you still have no rights to it. But marriage itself makes you responsible for the result and the outcome of these intimate parts. So you are now responsible for these kids through marriage, whether they are yours or not, right? And should the DNA test say otherwise, then, well, that's terrible. Then you got to be raising kids that aren't yours. And the truth is that husbands are the worst affected by this truth. The law is not on your side, right? So, at best, you get temporary access, regardless of the level of the commitment that you have made, right? You only get temporary access. And I say temporary, even if you've made a lifelong commitment of marriage to the counterpart, to the pay-for-play practitioner, to the relationship, right? You're going to break up. 70% of you, 75% of you are going to be divorced in the next 10 years. And if you aren't, affairs are rampant. We talked about the volume of potential attention seeking, attention grabbing things, not just on a social level, but on a corporate level, that is constantly bombarding your counterpart. And the minutia, I mean, you just have the tiniest of tools and assets with which to counter that massive volume of attention, right? It is so underrated, the amount of attention that modern women are getting. And it is so underrated, the number of things that are working hard to grab their attention. I'm doing it right now. Here I am with a video, with information that I hope will grab your attention. I'm going to be making a title for this thing that I hope is going to grab the attention of people. I'm one of the people trying to get her attention. And you haven't even seen my face. Consider that. How many men have you not seen that are just in there? 24 hours a day. There are men who are sending messages to 100 women each a day. 100 messages a day before breakfast. First thing in the morning when she wakes up, boom, 100 messages, and one of those is yours. One of those might be yours, I hope. So I'm aware as I started this video initially that realistically, I know that you're not going to forego intimacy. At best, we might get few years maybe of monk mode, right? We might get some red pill men who are, or the infamously known as red pill men who are disgruntled, right? But this is true of every man who's just come out of a relationship and feels hard done by, right? So red pill is to me not so much a movement, but rather a transition at the end of a disastrous end to something that may have been important to a bachelor, right? But this is not to imply that you are wrong to be upset, right? This is not to be implied that you are wrong to be upset, but it is time, right? That anger indicates a desire for change. And in a world where you are not escaping this world, you are not leaving this reality, you need to change within yourself, right? You need to make that change within yourself. And it has to be physical, it has to be real, it has to be tangible, it has to be provable, and it can't not change. Because then it's not really a change, it's just a pause. You're just taking a break, which is monk mode, which is good in developing yourself and improving yourself. But at the end of it, are you then going to go back into the romance wars, unprotected, with no vasectomy? With no vasectomy, you're back into the romance wars, fighting for attention, right? And if you don't get that attention, there's that inherent disappointment. But if you get that vasectomy, I assure you that attention means absolutely nothing. It means nothing. I can't tell you what a counterpart's attention means to me. It's either that or video games or something else, a wonderful game of chess. And I might be inclined to go for the chess because I have no biological imperative, right? I have removed that biological imperative. I have circumvented God's plan for humanity, right? And can now walk my own independent path, right? Knowing myself, knowing that I am not the type of person who should be in a relationship, right? You don't have the emotional intelligence, right? If you're that type of person who does not have it within you, you shouldn't be forcing yourself to go into these situations just because you're afraid of getting the wrong woman pregnant. Now you're here telling jokes, my friend. Now you're telling jokes because you know that if you get her pregnant at some level, she's got to like you, right? She has to approve something about you, right? She can't just be, just talking recklessly about you behind your back. She has to be able to say, well, he's a good provider, he's a good father, blah, blah, blah. Nonsense. Get yourself a vasectomy so that whatever she says doesn't matter, right? Her words, her ideas, her beliefs mean absolutely nothing to you because you are not going to connect with her in that way, right? She has to be there because you like her. It's only a social interaction. This puts you in a position for you to approve or disapprove, not her. Because if she approves or disapproves, she's going to tell you you need to grow overnight 12 inches, right? You're going to have to be something that you're never going to be able to be, right? And the minute she says that, you have to say, listen, I got a vasectomy, I'm leaving, right? I don't have to be here. I'm only here, I swear to God, on my life, I'm only here because I thought you might be a fun person to hang out with. And since you are not any more fun than a video game or a YouTube video, I should be with the YouTube video. In truth, right? There would be more value there for you than staying here where you're being disrespected. And as a vasectomite, this is a natural calculation. This is not spitefulness. It is not trying to get clout. I'm not trying to get leverage. I'm simply telling you the truth. I'm never going to get you pregnant. You're never going to have my kids. So what do I care if you like me? What is the purpose of your approval if I am not going to be providing and protecting for you? Women approve or disapprove based on the capacity for a man to sustain a family. And since I will never need to sustain a family, what do I need your approval for? This is why you need to get a vasectomy. The change is down to your fundamental core DNA. You remove that need, and what happens is your selfish gene supersedes that and puts you above society, which is why our motto is always the self before society. It is not just a motto. It is not what the like these companies' mission statement, right? It is our truth. You you put yourself in a extremely advantageous position that cannot be beaten, that cannot be swayed or changed in any way, right? And it is truth because it is always a fact. Once you have a vasectomy, this is always the fact. So you do need to get your vasectomy, get it done, and protect yourself, protect your seed, protect your future, right? Join us, become a vasectomite. Put yourself above, beyond the possibility of even being defeated in the romance war. Then whatever situation you find yourself in, you can always act with absolute confidence. But you cannot go back into the romance war, into a relationship, even after you have canceled the coochie, even after you've done monk mode and built yourself up. And if you do all that and go back into the romance wars without the protection of a vasectomy, I guarantee you absolute destruction. Guaranteed absolute destruction. So go ahead and get that. Prioritize it. It's really not as expensive as you think. It's a short amount of time. It's 1 day in the doctor's office and 2 weeks, maximum 2 weeks of recovery. And then you'll be back into the swing of things. You're not going to miss anything, but you're going to gain so much more. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I really appreciate it. This is the Ancient. Have a nice day.